Hello, AOEans and guests. As Chairman of Association of Entrepreneurs, I, Shishir Chaturvedi, am so happy to welcome you all on this kind of historic AOE's meet, 100th meet. It's also our first meet of 2021, and therefore, I wish all of you and your loved ones a wonderful and happy new year. AOE meet always starts with introduction of AOE. So I'll reiterate the principal purpose of AOE, which was formed by like-minded entrepreneurs to have an association with common aim of development of personal knowledge and businesses through pooling of resources available with each of us, enlarging fellow member base to be able to have a large resource pool, create sufficient opportunities to interact with fellow members in order to develop trust and relationship, help fellow members through sharing of knowledge and experience in order to help them expand their horizons. AOE, registered as a non-profit society, has been meeting every month on third Saturday since August 2012 and have been privy to hearing some really great speakers at this wonderful forum, learning from their valuable experience, as also learning from the wonderful group of our fellow AOE members. Today is the 100th AOE meet in its current format, not a small feat by any means. We have been there for over 8 years now, meeting continuously month after month. Grateful we are for the wonderful efforts made by founder members and our amazing past chairmen, Veer, Sagar and Navin, Sardana. Entrepreneurship is a lonely journey. We all know this, and AOE understands this very well, and therefore provides a great platform for valuable learning from guest speakers, interaction and learning from some very good fellow entrepreneurs and good human beings, and a possibility of building relationship with some great people from varied fields, which probably we would not have had a chance to connect with. Rest of our agenda for today's AOE meet is introduction of members, introduction of guests, one-to-one updates by Treasurer Vikas Rajput and Secretary Abhineet Seth. Internal speaker is Mr. Veerendra Malik. AOE mentoring group update by the wonderful team of Veer, Sagar, Rajiv and Sanjeev Narayan. On our 100th meet, we have a special session for our past chairmen, Veer, Sagar and Navin Sardana, for sharing their memories and words of wisdom. And there'll be a report from General Secretary, Treasurer and closing remark. With this, can I request members one by one to introduce yourself, please? Starting with Veer, Sagar, you got to unmute yourself, introduce and then mute again, please.
Good afternoon, AOEans. I'm Veer Sagar. I'm founder, chairman, ex-chairman of AOE. I have about 56 years of management experience running into production in Dunlop, in ICIM, in DCM, and now for the last 23 years in my own company. Currently, I run a back office company called SELECTRONIC. It also creates a social site for cricket lovers, which apart from doing all the things that a Facebook does for cricket, but for cricket people, it also does live transmission of cricket matches. E-coaching, we're now just introducing from this Monday, one-to-one coaching, e-coaching on the site, as well as distant coaching. I'm also in the process of completing a book of my management learnings written in an autobiographical style. Thank you.
Navin, can I request you for your introduction, please?
Good evening, AOEans. This is Navin Sardana, your immediate past chairman. I'm a partner in this firm called Living Luxuries, and we used to be importing. Now with the quality of Indian modular furniture almost matching the quality of imports from Germany, we have now totally focused on Make in India. And we are also in the business of selling the world's top-end kitchen appliances, built-in kitchen appliances, like Siemens, Gaggenau, Bertolini, Falmec, La Germania, and it's all available with us. Thank you.
Naresh, can I request you for introduction, please?
Yeah, good evening, everyone. Happy 100th meet. I'm Naresh Vidya, Vice Chairman of AOE and founder of Kaveri Consultants, social enterprise with profit. We make clothing for women, by women, with love. That's exactly what we're trying to pursue. passionate about tennis and passionate about teaching management in management schools. Thank you. Have a good evening.
Thank you, Naresh. Baljit ji, please.
Okay, I am Baljit Singh Bedi. I am the General Secretary of AOE. I am a founder member and I am a chartered accountant in practice for the last 40 years. We also do bank financing and do taxation and GST. Thank you.
Thank you, Baljit. Can I request Vikas Rajput to please introduce himself?
Good afternoon, everyone. I'm Vikas Rajput, Director E-Tech Services. We specialize in public health softwares. Healthcare software is our specialty. We have been working with various governments, international organizations, and NGOs.
That's wonderful. Can I request Abhineet to please introduce himself?
Hi, good evening, everyone. My name is Abhineet Seth, and I run Abode Crafts. We create, restore, and transform spaces. Started as a kitchen remodeling specialist company in Jan 2015. A vertical we still hold dear to us. We are today an end-to-end design build company for independent houses, apartments, offices, retail spaces, and warehouses. You can leave all your home and office building troubles to us, starting from finding the right location for you to designing, licensing for approvals, and thereby complete execution as a one-stop shop. Stipulated time frame, professional solutions is what you can expect from us. Thank you.
Thank you, Abhineet. Veerendra ji, can you please introduce yourself?
Hi, everybody. This is Veerendra Malik here. We are into printing and publishing, printing mostly for the government departments, and publishing B2B magazines on the subject of printing. We have magazines on printing events worldwide. We are printing a magazine on digital printing and different subjects of printing over here. Thank you.
Thank you, Virendra. Mr. Rajiv Kohli.
Hi, AOE. I am Rajiv Kohli. I'm a retired Army officer, and now I shifted over to my own business after taking premature retirement in 1991. I have run handled businesses in the area of telecom, mainly setting up of telecom towers. Right now I'm just mentoring a company which is into Bluetooth-enabled sleep products. They're making something which will help you sleep at night, take the stress out of your life. Thank you.
Mr. Neeraj Bhargav.
Hi everyone, I'm Neeraj Bhargav. I run an offset printing and packaging unit. We follow theory of constraints in our packaging unit to improve our bottom line. Thank you.
Can I request Mr. Rajiv Mathur to introduce himself, please?
Good afternoon, everybody. Rajiv Mathur here. I have spent around 40 years in technology and IT industry. And however, for the last sort of 4.5, 5 years, I've been involved in a healthcare venture, which is launched here in India, which is providing critical care services in the home. So essentially, we can create a full ICU type of service in the home, complete with all equipment and medical staff, whatever is required to treat critical patients in their home. We operate out of Delhi NCR. We are in Mumbai, in Chandigarh, Ludhiana, and expanding into Kolkata and Bangalore in the next quarter. Thank you.
Can I request Mr. Sanjeev Narayan, please?
Hi, good afternoon to all members here. I'm Sanjeev Narayan. I'm into electronic manufacturing, and we run an electronic manufacturing services company by the name of SGS Techniques. We are based in Gurgaon, Manesar, Bangalore, and Baddi. We have 4 plants, and we have been running this operation. I set it up in 1990. It's now our 31st year. Thank you.
Can I request Mr. Ajay Amar, please?
Hi, good afternoon, everybody. Ajay Amar here. Traditional business is in denting, where we represent several companies in India for wire harness accessories. Over the last 2 years, we focused into a new advisory service called SHLC, Sexual Harassment Law Compliance Advisory, which provides end-to-end solutions for the industry as well as the college and the university segment. As Vikas just said, thankful to Vikas, we've just launched an e-learning portal. So I'll be reaching out to some of you for references if we have. A new segment that we've sort of focused on is on the universities. This week, we just completed 17 sessions with XLRI Jamshedpur covering more than 1,000 of the students and the faculties as well. So that's an area of focus that we're looking at as well. I'll reach out again to members for any connect. Thank you so much.
Mr. Abhijit.
Good afternoon, everybody. I'm Abhijit from Apna Infotech, a software commando unit where we compete with the armies of large software companies. We specialize in providing software solutions to the mortgage industry in the US, as well as building and operating technical teams for technology startups across the world. I'm excited to announce that we are at the final stages of our CMMI Level 3 certification and expecting to be certified by next month. Thanks a lot.
Mr. Raj Mutreja.
My name is Raj Mutreja. I represent OSS Renewables. We are into agrotech like organic crops. We run a South Delhi most prominent located nursery at the Outer Ring Road. Please do visit us sometime and enjoy the natural oxygen chamber of ours.
Sanjoy, is your voice okay now? Can you give your introduction, please?
Okay, my name is Sanjoy Sehgal. I represent Accent Software. We make software for fashion, and that's why we focus only on fashion. Our newest product, WebTNA, is like a mini project management tool, and it's doing well in fashion as well as in other industries. So, thank you.
Mr. Arjun Pandey, please.
Hi, this is Arjun Pandey. I have a background in media, so I have a media content production company called 24 Frames. We do television content for Discovery, Nat Geo History, and others in that. I also am the president, sales, marketing, strategy, and alliances for a national English news channel called India Ahead. It's available on Tata Sky 617, Airtel 373, Geo, Fiber, DTH, and OTT. So my offer to the AOE members was in case anyone would like to put some advertisements there. And additionally, also, if anyone would like to possibly speak on key issues of their industry, let me know. Happy to set up either an interaction with some reporter of mine, anchor of mine, and or run your advertisements. The last I run something called Delhipedia, which is the largest page community for Delhi. It has 300 videos on food, culture, heritage, monuments, markets, people, etc. Again, if any AOE member would like to put their product offerings there, we have a monthly reach and engagement of about 1 million between Facebook and Instagram. And this is primarily Delhi NCR audiences.
Thank you very much, Arjun. We also have Mr. Pradeep Anand, who we already mentioned that he has just been diagnosed COVID positive. While we wish him to get recovered, as fast as possible for a complete and very fast recovery, he has still been kind enough to be with us during this meeting. Thank you so very much, Pradeep. You don't need an introduction because the kind of introduction we got about you in the last meet is going to last with us for a very, very long time. I am Shishir. I'm a founder member and current chairman of AOE. I have about 35 years of experience, last 23 years being in essential oils. Currently, I run an essential oil brand by the name of Meraki Essentials. The company is Meraki Essentials. The website is merakiessentials.com. We sell beautiful and lovely essential oils, which are good for body, mind, and soul through e-commerce from our website, as well as from e-marketplaces like Amazon and Flipkart. That's about me. And we have some guests here. One of the guests here today who was a past member is Charlie. Right. We welcome you very much, Charlie, on this 100th AOE meet. We have some wonderful memories, right, with you when you were also part of the AOE. Can you introduce yourself, and if you can share at least one nice memory from your session with AOE, that would be very nice.
First and foremost, I'm thankful to you, Shishir, for having invited me to join you all in this 100th meet of AOE. It was when I left AOE, it was not an easy decision, but it was more or less necessary as a next step in what I was planning to do. That is, I am moving out of this place. I am leaving the present place where I am at the moment in Faridabad, and I'll be going to the west. That is a place called Kamshet. It is near Lonavla, if people know that topography there. Earlier, when I was associated with AOE, and I got wonderful memories of AOE, I was doing what should I say, service for entrepreneurs. That is, I used to conduct classes, I used to conduct training sessions, I used to help them in all possible ways wherever I could help. And my target audience were entrepreneurs. But that is now in the past. I'm looking at the future, which is moving to Kamshet. I'll be happy to have you all there as and when I settle down. Thank you very much for this opportunity once again. Bye-bye.
We also have a guest here, Mr. Anil Thakur. Can you introduce yourself, please?
Good afternoon, all the AOE members. Congratulations on the 100th meet. I'm Anil Thakur, as I said, and I'm a long school friends with Shishir and Tejinder. Been in basically corporate world all these years, 35 plus years. Last about a decade in air conditioning and refrigeration with Danfoss and Emerson. I moved back from Thailand and brought COVID with me 9 months back and fell to it also. So anyway, so I am in the process of getting into what you guys have been into last decades, into entrepreneurship mode. So still discussing, talking, looking at different ideas. So getting inspiration from you people. So happy to join this August gathering. All the best.
Fellow AOEans, it's a pleasure to make this presentation on a landmark meeting, 100th meeting of AOE. Congratulations to all on hitting this century. I'll talk about my presentation in 3 different parts. One would be my journey from the beginning, how I got into the business. A few interesting instances during the journey, and brief talk about the industry development, and then my learnings from the journey. Ours has basically been a family business from my great-grandfather's time. We have been printers mostly to the government of India and public sector corporations, with a few private sector clients on the way. My father used to travel to Simla. I'm talking of early 50s. And he used to go there for interacting with the government department, the controller printing station, who were based in Simla. And I used to accompany him quite frequently at that time over there. So my exposure to the printing industry has been more or less on a daily basis and right from the very early age. And particularly when, because we had a residence and the press was the same place, so I had, even during schooling time, I used to come back to the press and learn about the techniques in the press itself. After my college in Delhi, I took on a 3 years course of printing technology and management in Manchester, England. And when I came back in 71, I joined the family business then. It was a given right from my childhood that I will get into the printing trade. Now, here's the interesting part after I came back. My father told me that now that you have the expertise in technology, try and see how you can implement all that in the business, in technology, as well as administration. Now, the first half of the day during my work was assigned in the press room with a rag cloth in my hand to start with cleaning the machines. And the staff was specifically instructed not to treat me as one of their fellow workers and not as the chota saab. And the second half, I was in my office space, which was given to me for the administrative work. The first thing that I did in office, from my experience of my internship in UK, was I got a carpenter to make me a production board with hundreds of holes drilled into it. And I picked up the pins from Chinese checker games, or different color pins, to see the progress of all jobs every day. After about a month or so, I realized that none of the pins were moving forward. The best of my efforts, the work just wouldn't move the way I wanted it to. Either some worker would take off suddenly without any notice, the supplier may not supply the raw material at times as scheduled, or even a client may not give the okay to start a job as per the regular schedule. So after about a month, all I had to do was pull down the board, dump it, and go according to the practical situation what was there on ground. As I said, do in Rome, as work in Rome as the Romans do. So I had to tune myself to the Indian conditions way of working over here and facing all these difficulties. Ministry of Defense has been one of our major clients for over 50 years. And we started in 1953 from my father's time. And the experience I've had is when you deal with government officials, you feel that they own you. They feel that if they've been given a job as the lowest tenderer, they've done you a favor. And they demand the maximum out of you without themselves participating according to schedules. So I'll just share a few instances. For Ministry of Defense, we were doing a weekly magazine called Saini Samachar. This was printed in 13 languages, 13 Indian languages, and about 20,000 copies to 25,000 copies every week. At that time, there were only 2 printers in India who could do the printing in these 13 languages. One was Chanda Mama Press in Chennai, because Chanda Mama was brought out in various languages, and the other was doing this magazine over here. And since we were printing for Ministry of Defense, there were other publications we did for them as well, for the armed forces as well as the ministry. So I'll talk about a few challenging instances that we've come across during our work over there. My first experience, exciting experience I would say, was after I joined business in 1971, was during the 1971 war. Since we were printers for Ministry of Defense and also on the government panel for emergency printing, we were called in for a meeting by the then Army Chief Field Marshal Manikshah and the other MI officials. And I accompanied my father for that meeting. Our press was sealed off, totally out of bounds for all of the clients, all of the work. And we were to do some security work for them for those few days during the war. We were printing lakhs of leaflets every day for a few days in Urdu, Bengali, and Pashto, starting at 8 p.m., which were picked up at midnight and taken straight to the Air Force base, and then flown over to the forward areas in the war zone, where leaflets were airdropped for surrender of the armed forces, of the Pakistani forces over there. So that was a very exciting job that I went through in the initial stages. And soon after that, when they had about 90,000 prisoners of war, we were to print a newspaper twice a week called Democracy and Freedom. This was a newspaper in Hindi, in Bengali, and in Urdu, which was circulated for about 8 months to all those prisoners over there, as from the government of India. Another instance was that my father has had a lot of friends in the political circle, and all different parties. He was never aligned to any particular party. So in 1975, around 7 p.m., my father was away on some business outside Delhi. I was in the office. And Chandrasekhar, along with Mohan Dharia, who were the young Turks at that time, walked into the office. And Chandrasekhar was a family friend. He walked into the office in a rush and said, "Veerendra beta, hum aaj Congress छोड़ा है। ये हमारे 30-32 पेज की स्टेटमेंट है, हमको आज छपी हुई चाहिए रात को, और किसी को पता नहीं चलना चाहिए." So, I mean, we had all the staff, so I had to ask a lot of staff to leave, have only few people who sit there, do the work. We did the work by about 1 o'clock. They sat with me for dinner and all, and then they went back with the copies. But that was again a challenging job. That it was supposed to be kept a secret. It's only 2 days later that it came out in the press, a statement published by Chandrasekhar, printed in an unknown press, distributed to the MPs in the morning in the parliament. So that was another exciting job that we did. In the mid-80s, again related to defense, when General Veer was the army chief, we did the Army Day brochure every year, circulated the Army Day parade on 15th of January. On 13th, at about 9:30 p.m., I got a call from the PRO Army that we need to meet at the Army Chief's residence urgently. There's something very important regarding the job, and there's an emergency meeting. You must come immediately. So there were three of us, the army chief, the PRO, and myself. 2 days before that, on around 11th or 12th, the army chief had rededicated the Teen Murti Memorial as Cavalry Memorial. And that became a big issue with the government a day later. That it was a political decision to name a memorial, and the army chief had no authority to do that. Now that news and photograph was going in the Army Day brochure. We had already printed more or less half of it. And they said, no, this cannot go. We have to change it. We have to reprint the whole thing. Again, and since those were the days, everything was done manually. There was no computerization and all the processes were slow. So we had to change the entire thing overnight and deliver the brochure the next day. Again, a challenging job. Another thing that we had, that the job we did was during the International Film Festival that was held every year. Home Ministry of INB. We used to print the daily newsletter at night. All the activities that happened during the day, the film reviews for all the films that were screened during the day, they were compiled in a newsletter about 20-24 pages and they were printed overnight. We used to get the material about 7 p.m. The editorial staff of their department used to come there. People like Sunit Tandon and all, they used to edit on the spot. And we had to deliver the copies by 6 in the morning every day. One of the days, the job was printed. At about 4:30 in the morning, it had gone into binding. And we get a message that we have to stop the work. 2 movies that were being reviewed in the newsletter were cancelled on that day. And they never happened. But they were there in the review. Again, the same thing like the earlier Army Day brochure. We had just about an hour and a half to reprint that section, rebind the material, and then have it ready to be delivered on time. So these are some of the exciting things that we have been doing. Another interesting interaction that we felt with the government department, and it's a little bit annoying also at times. This was for the Republic Day brochure. We used to do the Republic Day brochure for many years. You've seen the cultural pageant during the march order. And this was, I think, in the mid-80s that we are normally given the okay on 23rd after the full dress rehearsal. That this is the order of march, and this is the sequence of printing that you have to do for all the pageants, cultural pageants that go on. So on 23rd, after we got all the clearances, I gave the clearance and scheduled the job for printing, and I was to go to Tirupati because that was the year I was the president of the All India Federation of Master Printers, and I had the first meeting at Tirupati. We had called in about 50 plus associations from all over India, and we were connecting. On 24th in the afternoon, during halfway through the meeting, I got a call from my officer about 3 o'clock. He said, well, some officers have come from Ministry of Defense, and they've asked us to stop the work because of some changes in the order of march in the cultural pageant. So the thing has to be printed according to the new march. So it can't be done. About 40-45% job must have already been printed. And since you printed a part of it, we can't change the order now. It's very difficult at this stage to do it. So sir, the joint secretary and secretary sahab ne kaha hai ki this order has to be changed. And we can't go back and tell our seniors ki ye nahi ho sakta. So you have to do it. Oh, that was a very difficult situation. I said, what do you do now? I said, okay, you can't tell your senior, but at least maybe I can speak to them directly. Let me talk to them directly. I called up the joint secretary, very calm, quiet Sagar, I remember. I forget his name. I met him a couple of times to discuss the job earlier. So I told him, I said, sir, आपके officers आए हुए हैं वहाँ पे, and they want to change the order of printing of these brochures, which we can't do at this stage, technically not possible. We already printed more or less half of it. And unless you want to change the Republic Day, I can't meet the deadline to give you the copies on 25th night to be distributed on 26th morning. He says, Malik sahab, to kya ho gaya? Forget about it. If we can't do it, we can't do it. We'll revert back to the old order. You go ahead, enjoy your darshan at Tirupati. So I was really surprised that in the government, and we felt this, we've seen this very often. Junior officers are afraid to go to the seniors and tell them something that this can't happen. You can't do it. I don't know why they're afraid, but that's a very common thing I've experienced with my government interaction. Now, this is something that I don't know whether it goes on even today. And we experience this with a lot of jobs that we've done for them. An interesting one from the private sector. We used to print for the Russian embassy, or I would say the USSR Information Service at that time. This is in the late 70s. We were doing a publication for them called Russian for Everybody. It was a learning publication. We didn't know Russian. Any of our staff, they didn't know Russian. They couldn't understand the language at all. The first thing that in fact, I'd like to share a little presentation here. So the first thing was that the only thing that my operators could do was, as you see these characters individually in all boxes, they had to memorize which character, which shape of the character was in which box. And they memorized this and they used to compose from here. The people who used to compose English were doing this job in Russian. And within about a month and a half, they were doing it as fast as they were doing English. And since it was a 5-year contract, halfway through, we had seen change of technology also when we shifted to electronic keyboards. Now here again, the operators would just type in by seeing the shape of the character, not knowing the language at all. It was a monthly publication which they brought out without any difficulty. And it was surprising that they could understand what character to put where in a Russian language which they never knew. So this was another learning experience for us, that you can tune in to any kind of job, get people to do and your staff to do any kind of job. Okay, in India, anything can happen. And this helped us a lot in our business because we were the only ones at that time doing Russian, printing in Russian. And soon after that, there was an exhibition organized by Trade Fair Authority in Moscow. And we were given the job for printing nearly all the literature from all across the country, all the participants who went over there in that exhibition. That was a good entry into this line for business as well. Coming to my publishing business, we had way back in 69, 71, when I was studying printing technology in England, we were encouraged to read printing magazines over there to learn about new developments. They inspired me as an immense source of knowledge. And that's when it made me resolve to start a magazine of my own sometime when I get back into business. I was so impressed also with since I was an avid TV watcher, I was very impressed with the TV Times and the Radio Times magazine that was there in England. So in 1986, we started a magazine called TV Chronicle. Based on the lines of TV Times and Radio Times, we started, and that time it was only DD1 and DD2. And we did an article called Hum Nahi Sudhrenge. This was an article in Doordarshan. Because Doordarshan used to change their program so often from what they had already published as a schedule that it would never match according to the timing. And that went against us as publications, so we had to stop it. In 1992, when all these other Star TV channels came in, the Star TV, ATN, Zee TV, we went into the venture again. We started this magazine called, again, the title of TV Chronicle, but doing with all the other channels. But somehow it didn't work. There were some other magazines in India as well, done by Hindustan Times, by India Today, but none of them worked because programming could never be given in the proper format in advance. Either the episodes were not ready, or some producers would not want to give out information in advance. So this never worked. So we decided that it's best to stick to what we know best, printing. So in 2002, we started in our publications on the subject of printing. And we now got these 5 publications, one on digital printing, a yearbook, which is a listing of events worldwide, a print traveler, which deals with all printing events, conferences, and expos world, a kind of a mice publication, but related to the subject of printing. And then we also got onto the Delhi Printer, which is a magazine we do on behalf of the Delhi Printers Association. So it's been an interesting journey of publishing these magazines and learning something new every day, even today, with the new technologies in the industry. Something that I always wanted to do right from college time. Currently, we are also into personalized products, promoting personalized products under the brand name of Photo Monkey, a business venture which my daughter Sonali is working on. We do personalized glassware, personalized wine labels, personalized gifting, like memory boxes, kitchen sets, various different kind of personalized gifting, personalized hampers that we do in various formats, and also in personal and photo books. There's a slight video I'd like to show here, a very small video. I mean, the client sends in the photographs, we compile it into a photo book, and the best part of this is that it's not based on any specific template. Every photo book has a different design, different props, different size, and there are no two books together of the same kind. So this is something that we are currently working on, promoting this. A quick word about the developments in our industry. From 60s to 90s, technologies used to change maybe every 15, 20 years. But today, in the digital world, they're changing every 6 months. Earlier on, it used to be, it takes such a long time to get your job printed. And today, you have so many outlets as quick print shops. They print while you wait. Some of the print shops have got coffee shops along with it. They have a coffee while your job is being printed and you can walk away with it. An interesting thing that we do is, a lot of you must be attending conferences or exhibitions. And you come to a situation where you might run short of your visiting cards, or you have forgotten them at home. I always recommend carry a PDF file of your stationery with you. There are so many print shops in every city now that you can get your card, go out and get your cards printed in an hour's time. And never run short of it. Packaging and labels, some of our members are in packaging as well. Short runs are in big demand. Particularly in today's date of e-commerce, packaging has become a big demand in our Indian scenario because of huge consumer. So I think at the time when there was a recession in printing, packaging never went down. So I feel that printing, packaging in India, as people say, in the electronic world, printing will go down. It's never gone down. It's always supplemented that. And I think printing and packaging is going to do very well in India. I'll just sum up a few of my learnings. When you do business with government clients, always have them on the right side. It's a smooth sailing if you always keep them with you, keep them happy, have a good rapport with them, and you'll have no problems. The best part of government printing is that at least your payments are secure, which sometimes are very difficult in private sector. And as in the last one's presentation, Pradeep mentioned, don't hesitate to quote a ridiculous price. It may be accepted by someone. Similarly, in our publishing line, it said, don't give up on what you aspire to do. You may lose a couple of times, but try again. And in publishing, that's how it clicked. It clicked sometime. Thank you.
Good evening, Veerendra. That's a fantastic learning, from your journey. I must say that you are a vintage in the industry, especially in publishing industry. We all are aware we use a lot of print media here and there, but this has been. And I remember when I was not married, I was a bachelor. My roommate used to work for Delhi Press, Gandewala. And then they used to be one of the biggest, one of the printing and so fantastic. I think one or 2 points we learned more about the government sector, which not many of us are involved into it. So I think that's a great learning as well. And you've done a fantastic format. Going forward with the photo monthly, that's fantastic. I think that's the new generation which is taking place, and how they are moving digitally. That is the way to go ahead. Wish you great luck in this new venture as well. And thank you for sharing your story with us. Thank you very much.
And moving on, we have this interesting segment of AOE mentoring. And we are looking forward to some exciting announcements from this wonderful team of Veer, Rajiv, and Sanjeev.
Good afternoon, AOEans again. I have great pleasure in announcing that we as a team have decided that we will launch AOE mentoring program today on the 100th anniversary of our meeting. Right? And I request Rajiv Mathur to take us through the whole process. Rajiv, over to you.
It's a little bit of a background which we had briefly talked about earlier in the meeting was that, given the overall objective of AOE in terms of, I know there are many, but sharing of knowledge and wisdom, one of the things that was talked of within the group was how can we help the AOE members, giving them the benefit of all the knowledge or the wealth of knowledge and experience. So the objective with which the AOE mentoring group has been set up is, as it's put up over here, AOE members to help them by unlocking the wealth of knowledge and experience within the AOE community. So the way it starts is that it's going to be a very sort of problem-specific type of mentoring or support that is going to be provided. Not very general mentoring, but very specific. So let's say, for example, if post-lockdown, there are some challenges that have come up in terms of either, recruitment of people or scaling of business or, complying to certain laws. For exporters, there may be some certification that might be required, say, for Europe, etc., etc. But some specific issue and a specific challenge that the business is facing and the entrepreneur needs some help in bouncing those ideas, discussing with them, and coming up with a structured plan to address that specific problem. So the way it starts in terms of the process is a problem definition. So a little bit of a background. There's a very simple template that everybody will be given. They start by giving a little bit of a background about their business, the problem they're facing, what is the outcome they're looking at, so that we make it all very meaningful and we make it, something that we put our arms around, so at the end of it, at the end of the whole sort of exercise, there is a definitive benefit that is actually delivered to the business and therefore to the entrepreneur. So this problem definition will be circulated. It will be sent off to the EC of AOE for evaluation on whether or not this can be taken up, whether or not the appropriate resources within the AOE community exist. And once okay, they'll come into the mentoring team. And obviously, there'll be a number of interactions with the mentee on that. Essentially, there will be 3 stages with which this whole process will go through. The first is the preliminary stage, where there will be a lot of discussion, understanding, what we might also term as a discovery sort of phase, because even the mentors will need to deep dive into what might be the real issues or the underlying issues, not just the ones that we see on the surface, which could be addressed and therefore help in overcoming the challenge that the entrepreneur is facing. And just to mention here that the resources or the help will be drawn from the larger AOE community, which may be very specific either to that industry or to that specific type of problem. If there is, say, for example, a problem in logistics area, and there is expertise sitting within the AOE community in logistics, then there'll be a request to draw that expertise and be part of that mentoring group, which can help the mentee in that specific area of logistics challenge, for example. Yeah. And at every stage, like we want to make sure that it should be measurable. So once we measure the outcome, then whatever has been the objective or whatever has been the goal for that portion of the whole mentoring exercise is actually is understood, is documented, and actually a certificate issued against it. So preliminary stage, going on to a more detailed intermediate stage, which will again be for about 6 weeks, and then to the advanced stage where a number of options probably will be discussed and look at what is the most optimal solution for the challenge that the entrepreneur is facing. Yeah. So at the end of these 18 weeks, and if it is progressing, but for example, if it is a challenge where the mentoring group cannot help or proceed further, or there is a external dependency which cannot be tackled in the short term, then obviously it will not progress to the next stage. But at every stage there will be measurable goals that will be identified, so that once those are achieved, they will go on to the next stage. So 3 stages: preliminary, intermediate, and advanced, each lasting for about 6 weeks. And the only thing that is requested here is that there has to be an adherence to the time, both from the mentee as well as the mentors, so that in the whole framework and in that time box, we are able to achieve and actually deliver value. Because if something like this goes on for weeks and months and all of that, then really the advantage may not accrue to the business and therefore to the mentee. And obviously, we will celebrate once we have successfully been able to address the problem jointly, and obviously publish some successful case studies onto our website and make it known that this group of very successful, of experienced entrepreneurs is helping the whole community within the setup to achieve certain business goals and challenges that the people face. So that is, in very brief, the whole process we will follow. Obviously, I'm sure all of us are available anytime. Any more questions, any more clarifications, we will be available to clarify that. But this is in summary, and I would now request Shishir to please go to the next slide, press the launch button, and let's roll it out. Thank you. So any inputs, I guess, Shishir, any inputs that are on this or any suggestions, most welcome. Tejinder is the coordinating point for it. So if you can send it all into Tejinder ji, whatever inputs you may have, we will roll from there. And we look forward to the first 2 assignments coming the month of January so that we can roll. And I must say that this is going to be a continuous learning process, a continuous improvement process. So, but we will together work on it so that we can deliver value through this process and this group. Thank you.
Thank you, Rajiv. Thank you, Rajiv. That was great. And thank you, Shishir, for allowing us to make this happen. And
thank you.
Very pleased that me and my team of Sanjeev and Rajiv, along with, of course, the EC of Shishir and Naresh and Baljit, are participating in this and giving a new direction to what we can offer as a very definitive offer to our members. So I think it's a very great landmark day for all of us. Congratulations to the team, and hope we come out very well. Thank you very much. Thank you, Rajiv, for a lovely presentation.
Thank you.
Over to Shishir.
Thank you so much to this great team.
Thank you.
As it has launched, anybody who is interested can formally put in an application to the managing committee, and we'll forward it to the mentoring group. Thank you so much. As we move forward, so Veer, can we start with you for your words of wisdom, reminiscences from past and whatever?
Thank you, Sachir. Actually, I would have loved this format to be sort of a group discussion with all the founder members present, because each one had a very unique role to play and a presentation to the whole thing, because it evolved. It was not that one fine morning we got up and said, let's set up Center Association of Entrepreneurs. In fact, it's a very strange thing. We came out as an offshoot of a networking company called BNI. It was in some ways a good experience, in a lot of ways not so good. And a lot of us became friends there. So we used to meet for beer occasionally at irregular intervals in some bar or the other, mostly in a bar organized by Varun Madhok. And for some name, I can't remember why, we called ourselves BBM. And we people, what we had in common was we basically liked each other. We felt happy in each other's company. And we were just meeting out of BNI because we were quite disenchanted with BNI. And we left BNI, but we said BNI did a good thing of bringing us together. Let's not waste this. So we sort of built from there. And slowly we realized that we are meeting. It is okay, nice. But somebody came on. There was no structured meeting. We just said, okay, next meeting on so-and-so day. And who was free came in. And then we met. We actually passed almost a year like this. And then I think Naresh organized an annual in 1992, somewhere in May, in Vasant Vihar Club. We had a high tea. At that stage, we realized, okay, let's become something more formal. And we got together and we called ourselves, we sort of a networking company, and networking places, and networking without expectations. And we had our first formal meeting at Uber Launch. We created an association of persons, right? And somehow it didn't work. And then we started meeting in Vasant Vihar Club in the lounge. And there were 6-7 people. It was working out nice and cheap. Right? But then we realized that you can't discuss anything serious in the lounge, tea lounge, because there are other people there and no exciting discussion can take place. So we then moved to India International Center in the library room. And then we took ourselves the name of Association of Entrepreneurs India, because we were quite ambitious. We wanted to have branches all over. And then we grew up to about 20-25 people pretty fast. Then we moved to DMA in the thing. And that is the stage where we said, okay, we should now register ourselves, become a formal company. And we formally made it. And we used to keep meeting at this club regularly. And at that time, one of the things we had was we had this shadow of BNI over us. Part of it was because most of the initial founder members were from BNI. So BNI was the yardstick. At that, we had about 30-35 people, and it was getting quite well. The only issue we had at that stage was out of the 35, we were lucky if we got 15 people. One of the purpose was, since we said we were going to learn and from each other, we also wanted to have a third party. So we have brought this thing up of a monthly outside guest speaker to come in. And as the chairman, that was my most difficult task. Actually, the only job I did as a chairman was to bring the outside speaker. Rest was done by Shishir. I didn't even know anything. He just would send out in reminders, follow up, everything else. All I had to do was come there and preside. And of course, bring the speaker. It was quite tough because I only knew the senior people who were my colleagues at the various stages. And when I tell them, please come, and they would ask me, how many people in the audience? And I'd say very sheepishly, 15, because we'd have about 30-35 people and only 50% would land up. And then we brought in this concept of social. We said, okay, 3 socials will be contributed and 1 social. Naresh, who was the treasurer at that time, would pay from the AOE funds, and which is basically an October annual day of AOE. And over a period, we started having these social meetings, and meeting of family started coming in. We started inviting families to the lectures, and it evolved. And gradually, as we got more non-BNI members, we got out from the shadow of BNI. So today, I don't think we have BNI looming over us anywhere when we think of anything. But so one of the things which we could not do, which is always there in my mind, is to have a larger number base. That does two things. A, it allows more people to come. And if you have a bigger audience, you always can get better speakers. Because speakers also like to see audience, to get the adrenaline flowing. And you see 10 people sitting there in the hall with the mouths open, they don't get on. So they don't get on. So we need to have 30, 40 people sitting in the hall looking good. Plus, if we have a bigger audience pool, we get more knowledge base into the group, more knowledge to share, more things to happen. So we get more of that. That's where is one of my biggest regret as the chairman. I could not go to that magic number of 100. And I think we've passed the stage where survival is not a question anymore. I don't think there's any doubt that we are here to stay. We're here to stay and we're here to grow. We've got a fantastic team, lovely members, beautiful members. And one of the regrets of this pandemic is that we can't meet physically. One of my biggest regrets is we can't meet physically. Over the samosa and tea in the lounge. I don't get to meet the members. We've got fantastic members. So we've got a long way. One of the best things that we have created together with this association of enterprise.
With those words, I'll say good evening, friends. Thank you very much indeed for giving me this opportunity today to reflect on my year as chairman. Today also happens to be the 100th meeting of AOE, which of course is a historic milestone. I would like to take explaining a few features of AOE to some of the members. I'm not talking people like Naresh and Shishir and all, but there are some members who probably still don't understand what the structure of AOE effectively. And I think let me sort of clarify here as to what we are all about. The first thing one needs to understand is that designations such as chairman, vice chairman, secretary, treasurer, etc. are only for purposes of fixing responsibilities and establishing a smooth line of succession. These designations are by no means indicative of a boss and a subordinate relationship. The next point I wish to dwell upon is the unfinished agenda of the 2 preceding years, which were my years as chairman. AOE, as we know, is a knowledge and networking platform, but the challenges are multifold. Perhaps we need to reposition ourselves somewhat differently and offer some value-added opportunities, which is not so common to attract new members. We have had excellent speakers imparting tremendous knowledge, but these days, with the web offering infinite information on every conceivable subject, sitting in the comfort of your homes, getting members across to attend a meeting will become more and more difficult, especially with big city logistics as they are. Virtual meetings are now here to stay and will form a part of our day-to-day lives. These will have to be interspaced with physical meetings when the time is, as only physical meetings lead to bonding amongst members. Yet the bottom line is that as an organization, AOE can only play the role of a facilitator. It is up to the individual member himself to make use of the opportunity which is presented before him.